Have you ever seen a car that just stops you in your tracks? Not because it's the fastest or the most expensive, but because it looks like it was designed by someone who genuinely understood what cool meant. The 1970 to 1981 Pontiac Trans Am is that car. For over a decade, while every other American automaker was waving the white flag on performance, Pontiac kept swinging. Today, we're counting down 25 reasons why this car isn't just awesome, it's legendary. If you're a fan of muscle, style, and pure automotive attitude, hit that like button and subscribe. Let's get into it. Number 25. The design was ahead of its time. When the second-generation Firebird debuted in early 1970, people didn't just notice it, they stared. Designed under the direction of Bill Porter at Pontiac's Advanced Design Studio, this car looked like nothing else on the road. The long, sweeping hood, the low, aggressive stance, the Coke bottle flanks that tapered into a short rear deck. It looked more like something from an Italian design house than a GM factory in Michigan. And here's the thing. The design was so good that it lasted over a full decade with only minor updates. While other manufacturers scrambled to redesign every few years, the Trans Am's silhouette remained virtually untouched from 1970 through 1981. That's not laziness. That's a design so far ahead of the curve that the rest of the world needed 11 years to catch up. The raked windshield, the integrated bumpers, and the overall proportions were genuinely revolutionary. Some automotive journalists at the time compared it to Ferrari and Maserati, a GM pony car mentioned alongside Italian exotics. That tells you everything you need to know about how radical this design was. Number 24. It eliminated chrome bumpers before anyone else. In 1970, while every other car on the road still wore chrome bumpers like some mandatory dress code, Pontiac did something radical. They got rid of them. The Trans Am was one of the first American cars to feature body-colored Enduro bumpers, made from deformable urethane that could absorb minor impacts and bounce back. This wasn't just cosmetic. It was a forward-thinking decision that made the car look cleaner and more modern than anything in its class. And when federal 5-mile-per-hour bumper regulations kicked in for 73 and 74, the Trans Am absorbed those energy-absorbing bumpers so seamlessly that it became one of the few cars of the era that didn't look like it was wearing battering rams. Most muscle cars from that period look awkward with government-mandated bumpers. The Trans Am, it just looked better. That's Pontiac, understanding that form and function don't have to be enemies. They were thinking about design integration decades before it became an industry standard. Number 23. The Shaker Hood Scoop was functional theater. Let's talk about the Shaker. From 1970 through 81, the Trans Am featured a hood scoop that protruded through the hood and was mounted directly to the engine. When you rev the motor, the scoop literally shook back and forth. That's how it got its name. But it wasn't just for show. In the early models, from 70 to 72, the Shaker had a functional rear-facing flapper door that opened under hard throttle, feeding cold outside air directly into the carburetor for a genuine performance boost. You'd be sitting at a red light, blip the throttle, and this thing would tremble and breathe right in front of you. Mechanical theater at its absolute finest. The Shaker evolved over the years. The design changed in 77 with harder edges and a lower profile, and different engines required different base plates. But the fundamental concept remained the same. It was a visual connection between the driver and the engine that no digital display could ever replicate. You didn't need a tachometer to feel the power. You could see it right there on the hood, shaking and breathing with every blip of the throttle. Number 22. It was named after a racing series. It never actually raced. And here's a delightful bit of irony. The Trans Am was named after the Sports Car Club of America's Trans-American Championship, one of the most prestigious road racing competitions of the late 60s. But Pontiac never actually licensed the name. When the Trans Am debuted in '69, the SCCA threatened to sue. General Motors stepped in and offered to pay a royalty of $5 for every Trans Am sold. The SCCA accepted. And here's the beautiful twist. Pontiac's smallest available engine exceeded the series' 305 cubic inch displacement limit, so the car couldn't even legally compete in the very race series it was named after. They literally couldn't race a Trans Am in the Trans Am series. But it didn't matter. The name had that perfect combination of speed, aggression, and motorsport credibility that made buyers line up. Sometimes the best marketing isn't about what you do on the track. It's about what people imagine you could do. And when you looked at a Trans Am sitting in a dealer showroom, imagination was never in short supply. Number 21. The Ram Air engines were seriously underrated. When the second-generation Trans Am launched in 1970, it came standard with the Ram Air 3 400 cubic inch V8, rated at 345 horsepower. The optional Ram Air 4 bumped that to 370. But here's what the factory ratings didn't tell you. These engines were rated using the old gross horsepower system, and even then, Pontiac was being conservative. The Ram Air 4 was essentially a race engine stuffed into a street car. Aggressive valve timing, round port cylinder heads, and a Rochester quadrajet that could swallow enormous amounts of air. Drag racers, who put these on the strip, discovered they made significantly more power than claimed. The Ram Air 4 Trans Am could run the quarter mile in the low 13s right off the showroom floor. In '70, only 3,800 Trans Ams were produced, and just 88 carried the Ram Air 4. That combination of genuine performance and extreme rarity has made it one of the most sought-after muscle cars in existence. If you can find one today, you'd better have deep pockets and a lot of patience. Number 20. The Super Duty 455 was the last true muscle car. By 1973, the muscle car era was supposed to be dead. Emissions regulations were strangling horsepower. Insurance companies were punishing buyers. Every manufacturer in Detroit was running from big power. Every manufacturer except Pontiac. Against all logic, Pontiac's Special Projects Group created the SD 455, the Super Duty. This was a hand-assembled, race-derived power plant built around a reinforced block with 4-bolt mains, forged aluminum pistons, forged rods, and unique round port cylinder heads inspired by the Ram Air 4. The factory rated it at 290 net horsepower, but everyone knew that was conservative. Road tests showed the SD Trans Am hitting 60 in under 6 seconds and running the quarter in the low 14s. Most experts believe it actually made closer to 375 horsepower. Only 252 were built in '73, and about 943 in '74. Today, pristine examples sell for over $250,000. The last genuine muscle car of the golden age, and arguably the most impressive, considering it was born in an era that was actively trying to kill everything it represented. Number 19. Pontiac was the last division standing with big block power. By the mid-'70s, every other American manufacturer had abandoned large displacement performance engines. The Corvette was wheezing with 165 horsepower. Ford had replaced the Mustang with a Pinto-based economy car. Chrysler's muscle lineup was extinct. Chevy killed the Z28 entirely for '76. But Pontiac kept the faith. The Trans Am offered the big 400 cubic inch V8 all the way through '79, making it the only real muscle car left with big block power. Even emissions choked. The Pontiac 400 made more low-end grunt than anything else at a dealership. By late '70s standards, the Trans Am was practically a supercar. While Honda Civics and Ford Pintos puttered around, the Trans Am was still laying rubber and turning heads. It was the last real muscle car standing, and it wore that distinction with pride. Number 18. Smokey and the Bandit made it a pop culture icon. In the spring of 1977, a low-budget action comedy called Smokey and the Bandit hit theaters. The film starred Burt Reynolds, Sally Field, and Jackie Gleason, but the real star was a black and gold '77 Trans Am Special Edition. Director Hal Needham needed a cool car for his bootlegging comedy, and a photo of the Trans Am convinced both him and Reynolds. GM supplied 4 Trans Ams, 3 for filming and 1 for promotion. All 3 filming cars were destroyed during stunts. The movie grossed over $126 million against a budget of just $4.3 million, the second highest grossing film of '77 behind Star Wars. The sales impact was staggering. Trans Am sales jumped from 46,700 in '76 to 68,000 in '77, then exploded to 93,000 in '78. By '79, Pontiac moved over 117,000. It was the first time the Trans Am outsold the Camaro. One movie turned a performance car into a cultural phenomenon, and nearly 50 years later, people are still talking about it. That's the kind of impact money can't buy. Number 17. Burt Reynolds got his car. Eventually, after Smokey and the Bandit became a massive hit, a senior Pontiac executive promised Burt Reynolds a free Trans Am as a thank you for making their car the most famous vehicle in America. Months went by. No car. The executive who made the promise had passed away, and nobody followed through. Reynolds eventually received a '78 automatic Trans Am, which he kept for decades with only about 3,600 miles on the odometer. He later had it restored and signed the hood and dashboard. That car sold at Barrett-Jackson in 2022 for $495,000, setting a record for the highest price ever paid for a Trans Am at auction. A car that was supposed to be a free gift ended up worth nearly $500,000. Not a bad return on a broken promise. Only in the world of muscle cars can a corporate oversight turn into a $500,000 payday. Number 16. The Screaming Chicken is the most iconic hood decal in history. In '73, Pontiac designer John Chanella introduced what would become the most recognizable automotive graphic of all time. The massive Firebird hood decal, known as the Screaming Chicken. Chanella had been trying to get a large hood bird approved, but management kept rejecting it. So he put a prototype decal on a red '73 Trans Am and drove it up and down Woodward Avenue in Detroit, gauging reactions at every car gathering. Everyone loved it, but he still needed to convince Pontiac General Manager James McDonald. Knowing that GM design chief Bill Mitchell loved the black and gold color scheme inspired by John Player Special Racing livery, Chanella put a gold foil bird on a black prototype. Mitchell was sold. The bird was coded WW7 and cost $55. About $396 adjusted for inflation. It changed size, design, and even direction over the years. But it became so synonymous with the Trans Am that virtually every restored example gets one today, whether it originally had one or not. Number 15. The special editions were rolling works of art. Starting in '76 with the 50th Anniversary Limited Edition, Pontiac began offering special edition Trans Ams that elevated the car to collector grade. The '77 and '78 Y88 Gold Special Edition featured gold snowflake wheels and that legendary black and gold scheme. Then came the '79 10th Anniversary Trans Am, the Tata. It came loaded with literally every available option. Air conditioning, WS6 package, power everything, mirrored T-top panels, and a plush silver leather interior with aircraft-inspired red lighting. The exterior featured a two-tone silver and charcoal scheme with an oversized super hood bird extending onto the fenders. Pontiac produced 7,500, including 1,817, with the TA 6.6 404-speed manual. Two served as actual pace cars for the '79 Daytona 500, the race credited with bringing NASCAR to mainstream America. Number 14. The WS6 package made it a genuine handler. American muscle cars had a reputation for going fast in a straight line and falling apart in corners. The Trans Am changed that. In '78, Pontiac introduced the WS6 Special Performance Package, developed by Herb Adams. For $324, buyers got larger anti-roll bars, stiffer springs, a quicker steering box, frame bracing, and 15 by 8-inch snowflake wheels. By '79, it included four-wheel disc brakes. Car and Driver named the WS6 Trans Am the best handling car of 1979. Not the best handling American car. The best handling car, period. A Pontiac from Michigan beating European sports cars at their own game. Number 13. It offered T-tops. When convertibles were dead. In the mid-'70s, safety regulations effectively killed the American convertible. The Trans Am's answer was the Hurst hatch T-top roof, giving buyers the open-air experience while maintaining structural integrity. The removable glass panels let sunshine and wind in while keeping the roofline intact. The T-top Trans Am became the car of the late '70s. Cruising with the tops off, the shaker trembling on the hood, and 8-track blasting. The '77 Smokey and the Bandit car featured T-tops, cementing that combination in public consciousness forever. Finding a second-generation Trans Am without T-tops today is actually more unusual than finding one with them. Number 12. The Pontiac 400 was an engineering marvel. The heart of the Trans Am. Through most of its run was the Pontiac 400 cubic inch V8. Unlike Chevrolet engines shared across divisions, the Pontiac 400 was designed and built exclusively by Pontiac. It traced its lineage to the original Pontiac V8 architecture from the mid-'50s and was a torque monster by design. Wide-bore spacing, heavy-duty construction, and unique cylinder head flow made it produce massive low-end and mid-range torque. In TA 6.6 form with the W72 package, it made 220 horsepower in '78. Not huge on paper, but the torque curve was so fat, the car felt much faster than numbers suggested. This engine rewarded drivers who understood that real-world performance is about having power everywhere, in the rev range, all the time. Number 11. It survived the '72 strike that nearly killed it. In 1972, a 174-day strike at GM nearly ended the Firebird and Camaro forever. Production halted. Executives considered canceling both cars permanently. Trans Am production plummeted to fewer than 1,300 units. But Pontiac refused to let its flagship die. When the strike resolved, Pontiac came out swinging with the SD 455 in '73, proving that reports of the Trans Am's death had been exaggerated. From near cancellation to best-selling performance car in America by decade's end. That's one of the great comebacks in automotive history. Number 10. The snowflake wheels became design icons. When Pontiac introduced the cast aluminum snowflake wheels with the WS6 package in '78, they created one of the most recognizable wheel designs in automotive history. The intricate branching geometric pattern looked like nothing else. Available in argent, silver, or gold, the gold versions on black and gold special editions became absolutely iconic. The 15 by 8-inch snowflakes were significantly lighter than steel wheels, improving handling and ride quality. Today, reproduction snowflakes remain hugely popular and have been adapted into 17 and 19-inch modern versions. Few wheel designs from any era have achieved this level of enduring popularity. Number 9. The Oldsmobile 403 was the quiet powerhouse. Starting in '77, Pontiac offered the Oldsmobile 403 cubic inch V8. Originally for California and high-altitude markets, it became the standard Trans Am engine by '79. While purists grumble about a non-Pontiac engine, the 403 produced between 185 and 200 horsepower with plenty of torque. More importantly, it kept the Trans Am alive when Pontiac's own engines were being phased out by fuel economy mandates. Paired with the turbo Hydra-Matic 350, it lacked the raw character of the Pontiac 400, but was smoother and more refined. It powered the vast majority of late-model Trans Ams and was many owners' introduction to the Firebird experience. Number 8. It paced the Daytona 500. In '79, the Trans Am paced the Daytona 500, which turned out to be one of the most famous NASCAR races ever. The finish featured a legendary battle between Cale Yarborough, Donnie Allison, and Richard Petty, culminating in a last-lap crash and a fistfight broadcast on national TV, the race that brought NASCAR to mainstream America, and, leading the field, a Pontiac Trans Am. To commemorate, Pontiac produced the '80 Turbo Trans Am pace car replica. Around 5,700 were built in cameo white with gray trim, priced at about $11,194. These have become highly collectible, a unique intersection of motorsport history and Trans Am heritage. Number 7. The Turbo 4.9 was a glimpse of the future. In 1980, with big engines gone, Pontiac developed a turbocharged version of its 301 cubic inch V8. The Turbo 4.9 featured a reinforced block, stronger internals, a 4-barrel carb, and a single turbo making 9 pounds of boost. Rated at 210 horsepower, it came with the coolest gauge ever. A hood-mounted boost gauge, labeled turbocharge, right in the driver's sightline. The Turbo Trans Am ran the quarter in the mid-16s, actually slower than the previous 400, and it had reliability issues with ignition under boost. But turbocharging would become the dominant performance technology of the future, and Pontiac was experimenting before most manufacturers considered it. A flawed pioneer, but a pioneer nonetheless. Number 6. It had the best handling of any American car in the late '70s. From year one, the second-generation Trans Am was engineered to handle. The '70 models came with a 1¼ inch front bar, substantial rear bar, fast steering, and sticky tires. Effectively, showroom stock road race cars. As the WS6 package was refined, the handling became world-class. The unitized body with bolt-on front subframe, short and long-arm front suspension, and tuned live rear axle created a chassis, balancing American comfort with European cornering precision. The low-cal gave excellent visibility. When you rolled into a corner, in a properly set-up Trans Am, the front end keyed in with a confidence that defied every stereotype about American muscle cars in corners. Number 5. The production numbers tell a remarkable story. The sales trajectory reads like a Hollywood screenplay. In '70, just 3,196 built. '71, about 2,300. The '72 strike nearly killed it, with fewer than 1,300 produced. But from there, numbers climbed. By '77, 68,000. Then Smokey hit. 78 saw 93,000. 79 peaked over 117,000. Sales were so strong Pontiac delayed the planned redesign, from near cancellation to record-breaking sales in under a decade. One of the most dramatic comebacks in automotive history. No other American performance car came close. Number 4. It was genuinely affordable performance. A 77 Trans Am, special edition with the Y82 package, had a sticker price of about $8,161. Adjusted for inflation, roughly $38,000 today, less than a well-equipped Camry. For that, you got a 200 horsepower V8, T-tops, the black and gold scheme, the screaming chicken, and enough style to stop traffic in every small town. Even the fully loaded 79 10th anniversary came in around $11,000. The Trans Am wasn't an exclusive toy for the wealthy. It was a car average Americans could save up for and actually buy. That accessibility is why it became so deeply embedded in American culture. Not just a poster car, an attainable dream. Number 3. The aftermarket support has never died. Unlike many discontinued cars that fade into obscurity, the second-generation Trans Am enjoys unprecedented aftermarket support. Companies like Year One, Classic Industries, and Ames Performance manufacture virtually every part needed. Shaker scoops, snowflake wheels in 3 sizes, full reproduction sheet metal, interiors, emblems, all available. Pontiac V8 specialists like Butler Performance keep big cube engines alive with modern machining. Pontiac Historical Services provides factory documentation. Building or restoring a second-gen Trans Am today is actually easier than with many newer discontinued vehicles. The community refuses to let this car die. Number 2. Its values have skyrocketed. For decades, second-gen Trans Ams were the affordable muscle car you could grab for a few thousand. Those days are gone. Hagerty reports the median value in good condition now sits over $30,000. A 70 Ram Air 4 commands over $130,000. A documented SD 455 reaches $250,000 at auction. Even late model 77 through 79 cars have climbed dramatically. Hagerty reported 12-month average sale prices, up 38%, with 57% more cars offered at auction. The bargain window is closing fast. What was an everyday driver is rapidly becoming a blue-chip collectible. Number 1. It kept the spirit of American performance alive when no one else would. This is the big one. During the darkest decade in American automotive performance, when regulations strangled horsepower, insurance companies punished buyers, gas prices soared, and every competitor gave up, Pontiac refused to surrender. While Ford sold Mustang IIs based on the Pinto and Chrysler watched its performance lineup vanish, Pontiac kept building cars with big engines, aggressive styling, and genuine attitude. They created the Super Duty, developed the WS6 handling package, pioneered turbocharging when they ran out of displacement, wrapped it all in the most outrageous graphics Detroit had ever seen. The Trans Am wasn't just a car during the malaise era. It was a statement. Pontiac telling the world that American performance wasn't dead. It was just wearing a screaming chicken on its hood and waiting for the right moment to remind everyone what muscle cars were supposed to feel like. That stubborn, beautiful refusal to give up is what makes this car truly legendary. And there you have it. 25 reasons why the 1970 to 81 Pontiac Trans Am remains one of the most awesome machines to ever roll out of Detroit. Whether you grew up dreaming about one after watching Burt Reynolds outrun Sheriff Justice, or you just appreciate a car that refused to compromise, the Trans Am earned every ounce of its legendary status. Which reason hits home hardest for you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this, Hit like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.